Welcome along to episode 13 of Strategy and Conversions. Now, 13 is unlucky for some, but it's going to be lucky for you because what we're going to share within this episode is really going to help you if you've ever struggled to get the customers that you want. If you've ever struggled with marketing in general or any kind of way of getting your message across to people and having them come to you to solve that problem. Mark, tell us what that issue is.
Well, the issue is simply in a lot of cases is that we know what people will need. So a lot of people make the mistake of putting together products that they know that people need to buy, if you like. But the problem is that the buyer, the prospect, doesn't know they need it and they want something else. They think they want something else. So what that person needs, the seller needs to do is word that product or shape that product in a way that it appeals to the wants of the prospect when actually it's going to be delivering the underlying need for that prospect to either have a healthy lifestyle or gain more customers, get more inquiries, et cetera, et cetera.
I think there's so many important parts just to that statement there. And I think, like you said, it's hitting straight on it. Is that, look, someone thinks, they think that they want something. And trying to change someone's mind is like the hardest thing going, right?
Yeah.
Want someone, and you can think about this for yourself, just within life, is that, if you think something is a certain way, or, you think you want something like that, how many times you kind of argued with, the person that you live with or something like that about where something is or something like that, and it's just like, once someone's got it in their head that it's in a certain place and it's not, then it's like, okay, it comes to light. But up until that point, they're adamant that, that it's in that place and that's what they want. And that's the kind of thing that I'm trying to get across there, is that if someone thinks they're right in what they want, it can be really tough to change that.
Yeah.
Obviously, with whatever you're selling, whatever you're delivering, you are the expert. That whatever it is that you offer is going to help them get from point A to point B.
Yeah.
And also there's a big gap in between then, in not all the time. Some people are spot on. They know exactly what they need and stuff like that. But for most people, you're trying to, I want to say convince, but convince isn't the right word. It's like you're trying to just explain to them that this is exactly what they need. And it's that bridge between that you really need to obviously get right. And that's what we're going to run through within this podcast episode. But one thing there that I think is really important just to kind of touch on first is that, and this is, I think, where you get a lot of people who they go for the quick wins, they go for the quick money, and they don't actually then have a sustainable business or a way of actually delivering results.
Yeah.
Because what they do is they fold and they give the person what they want.
Yeah.
And it doesn't work out in the way that the customer expected it to work.
Yeah.
And then they look back on you as if like, well, why didn't that work?
Why didn't that?
Well, because I gave you what you wanted, instead of giving you what you actually needed.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, I think probably within my early years within business, I probably fell into this trap.
Yeah.
Because you're talking to a customer and stuff like that, and you're like, look, this is what you need. This is what you need. And they're like, I want this, I want that. And it's like, in the end, you're like, fine, okay, look, we'll do it your way.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, actually, that was wrong. You're actually doing a disservice that way by giving them what they want.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't actually equal what they need.
You hit the nail again on the head there when you explained that it's got to be sustainable. So I know we've talked earlier about quick wins in weight loss, quick wins in muscle building, quick wins in sales, all the rest of it. Quick wins are what people think they want, but actually they want something that's sustainable long term. They want the sustainable lifestyle that will keep the weight off them once they've lost it. And not yo-yo dieting, where they have a quick, a quick injection or a quick exercise routine that they can't keep up because it's not within their lifestyle. So sustainable is key.
I think dieting is a great example. I think fitness and exercise and all that kind of stuff. Like you say, with someone with dieting, I mean, quick win. I think there's an area of giving someone a quick win. Don't get me wrong. I don't think quick wins are necessarily bad. I think you can give someone that quick win as long as there is that substance behind it.
Yeah.
Add the sustainability, And I mean, even from, say, a marketing point of view, with some of the stuff that we do, is maybe talking to a client and the client's like, I need to get cash quick.
Yes.
Is that right? Okay, look, we can do something here, but it's not going to solve your problems long term.
No,
You can do something that is going to help you within a short period of time, but you also need then to start putting this underneath. And I think marketing is a great example. Again, we're coming to on that sustainability side, but the actual dieting side is, okay, look, straight away you can say to someone, okay, look, if you cut out carbs or something like that within a week, it's going to help you. You're going to look a bit leaner or something like that. I may have just come up with the wrong example, but you know what I mean? It's going to give you that kind of thing, but you can't just do that forever.
No, that's the whole thing with the keto diet, wasn't it? That you could
exactly it. Yeah,
you cannot sustain that forever. So it is a quick win, but it doesn't have that sustainable element to it at the back. So it works short term, but
and I guess where like a fitness trainer or something like that will come into it is that they will look at a calorie controlled diet and regular exercise, to help maintain that, and then we're talking about sustain it. But we're also talking about to basically just increase the weight loss or increase the fitness or whatever it is over time. It may just be in shorter kind of increments than just that bulk of that quick one at the beginning. But like I said, I think what the problem is there is that, a customer may want that, that initial part. Yeah. And it's like, if you're just giving them that without then giving them the other part afterwards, you're doing them a disservice, because obviously they can get a little result, but then they're just going to get back to, how they were before. I think there's so many examples.
And that's right. And this is, again, something we've talked about in the past as well. That is the momentum thing, isn't it? So if the quick win leads to something that is then going to generate and start a momentum going forward, then that's great. But if the quick win stops, so the quick win is just a product, if you like, or just something you do, and it has an end point, and there's nothing beyond that, and it's not sustainable, and it's also it's gained momentum, but the momentum is just lost immediately because they've stopped doing it. So as you say, with the fitness trainer, that's the whole point. The fitness trainer will give you that first quick win, but then there'll be a sustainable momentum to help you build your muscle mass, to help you lose the pounds until you get to the body shape that you particularly want. And then it's just maintaining that. It's just making sure that doesn't change. And that happens to some people, but unfortunately not to many sometimes.
Not to many. And I guess that's what it is anyone that it does work for, I think they carry on. That they change that kind of mindset, that mentality, and they carry on themselves. But I was just thinking then as well is the great example, I guess, is all these kind of magic pills and magic drinks and stuff like that come around. And it's like, okay, maybe for a short term, but without doing the extra stuff, without doing the sustainability stuff, it's not going to work. And there's so many different examples there. I think I can remember like years ago going to the gym and stuff like that, and I can remember reading different kind of like bodybuilding books and stuff like that, and there was a lot of stuff around steroids, and it was talking about how people use steroids for like a quick win. So they look to bulk up really fast and all this kind of stuff and kind of get the body they want. But what happens then is as soon as they come off of steroids, they lose that muscle mass. It just starts dropping back, and it starts dropping really quick. Whereas if they put on that muscle mass over time by doing the correct training, they actually keep that muscle mass for a lot longer. So again, they sustain it. And I think that's the big thing that we're getting. I think we've kind of gone a bit into the whole kind of a fitness and dieting and bodybuilding world, quite a bit. But the whole point there is to give you that way of thinking of, getting the kind of beach body or that losing weight or whatever it is that you want to do. Is you can't walk into a gym and do it once, and
no, that's right. That's right.
You can't have a meal and expect to have it. However, there will be people who, they think that by having a healthy meal once, or by going to the gym once or something like that, then that they're doing the right thing, and that's about it. But he said it is all about having that sustainability to kind of drive it through then. And it comes back to that whole kind of want and need, is that whatever you're delivering, whatever kind of product or service it is, there has to be an element of that want. So you have to touch that psychology side of, you have to touch on what that customer wants.
Exactly, because it won't sell otherwise. So the customers will have the idea of of something they want. And I know we spoke about this earlier. So, I mean, social media, for example. Okay, social media, big thing at the moment. I want social media. I want some more social media posting. That's their want, but that's not their need. They don't need endless social media posts that aren't really going anywhere. What they need is more prospects, more cash that convert to cash. So the whole thing with the social media is this: give them what they want, because okay, we can start creating a social media campaign for you, but that will lead on to a more sustainable system of building your reputation, of building your database, so that you get more prospects into your world, if you like, that you can sell to. So the social media on its own isn't going to do that. So the social media posting is a kind of the tip of the iceberg. What they need is the iceberg. What they want or think they want is just a little tip, because that's the big rage at the, that's a big thing at the moment.
And that's massive, isn't it? Because it is exactly it. Look, what do they want by the social media marketing? So they want more customers.
Yeah.
Where it all comes back to is that, okay, look, we want more customers.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, look, there's a couple of different layers there, because obviously that, like you said, we're putting stuff out on social media. Social media has changed so much over the years that it's so tough to actually put a message out and someone buy from you straight away.
Yeah.
Unless something really amazing, it's not going to happen. But what you're looking to do there is you're looking to extract people.
Yes.
So it comes down to that kind of post. You're looking at the right kind of copy and stuff like that on that post to extract someone from social media to the next step.
Yes.
And then that next step then gets into your ecosystem, whether it be that, they're watching some training or they're getting on a call with you or whatever it is, to then become a customer.
Yes.
And it's like there's those steps in between, but what they need is more customers. Right?
Yeah.
What they want from their mindset is they want social media posting.
Yes, that's right.
So it's tough because, but obviously what you can do there, like going back to the kind of example, what I'm saying is that if you just give the person what they want, and it's like, right, okay, look, here's a bunch of social media posts, and nothing happens.
Yeah.
They're going to look at it as it didn't work.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
And then that's where it ends. That's where it ends. But if you're just like, okay, look, this is what we need to do. We are going to do some social media posting, but that's only one part of it, because we also need
becomes a whole.
And there's a great kind of story around this as well. Is like someone doesn't buy a hammer for the hammer, and then I think the next step of it is they say that someone buys a hammer because they want to knock a nail into a wall or into wherever it is. But it's like, actually that still is limited, because there's a bigger picture. It's like, what do they want to do? Is it a case of, they want to hit the nail into the water that they can hang a picture of their grandchild?
Yeah, for example.
Something like that. What is it that they want to do with it? And it's like, okay, look, it may not, having a hammer to hit a nail into the wall to hang up a picture may not even be the best solution.
No.
There could be a better solution, but in their head, they need a hammer.
Yeah, that's right. And you'll never get around that. So it's difficult, because you can obviously then supply that. But if they want to just hang pictures, there, as you said, there could be better ways of doing it. And I know that's another thing is about the drills and the holes, and the whole thing about they don't want to buy a drill, they want to make a hole. But that still doesn't go far enough. What do they want to make a hole for?
Yeah.
Putting up some shells. Okay. What kind of shells? How big? And then it's okay. Well, are there better solutions that may work? So it's understanding we said this before, haven't we? Peeling back the layers of the onion. So what is it you really want? So what's the next? Dig down a bit further. What is it you really want? And when you get to the final, well, I want to hang a picture of my grandchildren. Wow. Okay, great. We've got there. And as you said, hammer and nail nowadays may not be the best option.
That's it. And do you know what, that whole kind of thing there, I mean, when we spoke about that in the previous episode, we kind of got to it that we kind of said, look, there's 5 levels of why. So you're always asking why and stuff like that. And the whole point there is that you get the right answer. And we were talking about asking yourself those questions on what you're doing so that you become motivated. Now, what happens is once you take someone through that kind of process, it makes your job a lot easier within marketing or within sales to then be able to deliver what they want. And this is why, I mean, there's, I guess, the whole kind of quiz kind of tactic became quite big over the last few years, because it is really good in a way where if you're taking part in a quiz and someone's asking different questions, and then at the end it gives you an answer and says you need this.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, okay, of course I need this because I've just answered these questions.
Just answered all the questions.
You know?
Yeah.
And it's like, what we need to do within business is we need to be asking these questions in a way that aren't necessarily seen as a sales call or salesy, or in a way where we're just, you know, just hitting the customer with lots of different questions. We need to take them through emotion.
Yeah.
Of, you know, like I said, maybe it is on social media that we're asking that first question to then deliver an answer, to then give another answer. And that whole kind of thing of want and need is just so massive that it happens all day within anything and everything, you know, because, you know, what do you actually need? You need some food, you know, you need some fuel. Do you need the takeaway? Do you need the KFC bucket or the other kind of takeaways?
Yeah.
You don't need that. You want that.
Yeah.
And then we I guess we come into the emotion side then of, you know, in the earlier kind of podcast episodes, we were talking about copywriting and the sales copy and stuff like that. Is that how we kind of hit on emotions and the psychology and stuff? And it's exactly the same thing of that want and need.
Yeah, always. People buy an emotion, end of story. And they justify, in some cases, not always, they justify that with logic, but they make the logic fit the emotional decision to buy. So even their logic sometimes is flawed. But it's like anything. You have to become curious. As a writer, as anybody in marketing, you have to become curious. You have to become, the more curious you can become, to find out what is really required. And that means asking all those kind of open questions, saying, well, why is that important to you? What do you need? So digging down. Once you understand the emotion, well, they say, well, actually, the problem is my business hasn't got enough customers, and it's causing me financial pain. Bang, you hit the emotion, and it's all about the financial pain. They want to be they want to feel financially secure, have a sustainable business where they can have a guaranteed as best as you can, steady income coming in. It's just the whole sustainable system of acquiring customers and having maybe some kind of memberships, but it's repeating business every month. That's what they really want. That's what they really need. But their wants are always, because their wants are always stated in a much simpler form, because people don't take the time to think. And that's what the marketer has to do for them, is become curious and be the one who's asking them to think and helping them to think through questioning.
I remember reading lots of stuff as well through the whole kind of, just over the years with different marketing training and getting into the kind of psychology stuff and strategy, is that everything comes back to three areas of health, wealth, and relationships. And relationships sometimes gets called different things, and I think it gets called happiness and different things like that. But everything comes back to that. And I think if you look at whatever it is that you're offering and you say, right, okay, how does this help a person? It has to fit into one of those three categories.
Yeah, really. Yeah.
Right. For it then to be something to move forward with. And I think what happens a lot of times whenever I'm talking to someone and they say, you know, I'm trying to sell this, or I'm trying to sell more of this, and not so much, we're not talking about growth here. We're not talking about scale or anything like that. We're talking about when someone just is stuck, they can't get something going. When you actually look at their offering or their marketing, it's just so bland that you know, it doesn't even hit on the want more than need.
Exactly.
It's just somewhere stuck within the middle.
Yeah.
And it's just like I do this, and it's like, so what?
Exactly. And that's the thing. Again, it comes, and that's again the whole thing, is that the proposition, whether it's copywriting or whether it's you're speaking to them face to face, it's always about them. It's never about it's eventually what you can do for them, but only at the final stages. So talking about them, talking about their challenges, their requirements all the time, and understanding what they really, really want. And again, it's that curiosity thing of just copy is a classic one, when there's too many people on websites and things, where there's too many people say, we do this and we do that, and we can give you this, and we can give, as you said, that people read the websites and say, well, so what? I'm sure I can get that from anywhere else. But when people really start appealing to them, their needs, if you like, or their wants, but appealing to their emotional states, that they're struggling with this or they're challenged with that, then that's when that copy really, that piece of content really starts to gel with them, and that's when they'll read on and that's when you get their interest.
That's the big thing, isn't it? That gel, you know, and it's sometimes I kind of refer to it as like a recipe. Is that I think sometimes when you start reading, you know, copy or something like that, and you know you're looking at or just an offer or something like that, is you kind of look at it as if it's a recipe for the likes of, say, you know, just a meal where you're reading it and you're going, do you know what, it's bland, it needs some salt.
Yeah,
you know, it might even need some cayenne pepper chucked in, right? It needs something to give it a kick. Sometimes you're reading it and it's just so salesy and slimy and everything like that. It's too sweet. You know, you're just like, there's too much sugar in there, you know, and it's like, you know, and then you get the opposite sometimes, say, where it's really dry. Factually, it's correct.
Yeah.
You know? But it needs a bit of sweetener. It needs a bit of sugar to do something. And there's a tactic that I get people to use that to me is, I think that this is one of those. I don't like to use that whole kind of phrase of game changer, because I think people use it all the time and stuff that you know, it never really means anything. But this to me is a game changer when something isn't quite working, and people have things right. They have, you know, they have a decent offer, you know, and they have their kind of avatar mapped out, which is, it looks that is right.
Yeah,
something isn't quite working, and when they're looking at their avatar and they're looking at who they want to serve and you know who that ideal customer is for them, what I tell them to do is just flip it around and ask the question, why you? Why you? And it's so once you get that part there of why someone should work with you or why they should come forward to buy your services and products, that there changes your offer. That adds that missing ingredient into, you know, what has made you be stuck in the beginning, someone not going ahead. This usually gives that antidote then to make someone go ahead.
And that's again, it's something that I train in the copy, but it's something that's apparent everywhere, is that if someone wants to get from A to B, there is normally a route for them to take, a standard route for them that somebody can take. So it means that if people want to get to B, they can go to literally millions of different providers will get them there. But the difference is that if you say, if you show that, I can get you from A to B, but in the meantime, we can actually make that journey more exciting. We can make it faster. We can do this by adding these little pieces in. All of a sudden, yes, they can get to B and really enjoy the ride. That's when they're going to say, actually, I need to work with you then, because you're not only going to provide these basic 5 steps or whatever it is to get to this, but it's going to be so enjoyable, and they're going to love it. They're going to have bonuses, and they're going to have different. They're just going to love the journey, and that's the whole point.
There's something there that I think is awesome. I think, like you said, that whole kind of getting from point A to point B, right? I mean, that there is just fundamentally, that is the secret, right? That's all you're trying to help someone do, is get from point A to point B. What gets really tough there is just like, I think it's someone believing that you can help them get from point A to point B. Right? And especially if it's that whole kind of want and need thing, that they think they want something in a certain way, and you're saying, but you need it this way. And one of the traps that I think we all fall into within business, and I know that I've been there a lot, is that you're quite sure on what it is that you offer and your expertise and everything like that, that you don't actually want to give too much away. Because you don't want someone copying, you know, what you're doing, or you don't want the person to be able to do it themselves, right, without paying you to help them and stuff like that. You know, selfishly, look, business is business. That's what we kind of do.
And often they can't do it themselves. Even if they know the theory, they still can't implement it properly.
I was just about to say, like, what my thinking, that the way that I've come around to reason with this is like, people don't bloody do what I tell them to do, and they pay me.
Exactly.
You know, it's like that. Sometimes you can have a fight when someone's paid you and you've mapped out a strategy, and you know you've got everything there from point A to point B with all the different steps in between, and then they still don't do it, or they go off and they do something else and they say, "Oh, I don't think that's right." And it's like, right, okay, but you're paying me to because I've been there before, I've done this, you know, I know exactly, you know, from what you said, you know, I've listened to what you want, and this is what you need, and everything like that. And it's just like, it can be so tough. But I think that message of, you need to tell people how you get them from point A to point B.
Yes. Yeah.
Because without that, you're stuck in the mix then with all the competition.
And I think this is the whole point of things like, if you're writing email sequences, email nurturing, and even sales pages to a certain extent, you have to explain the process you're going to take them through, the journey you're going to take them through, enough in enough detail that they get what they understand, and they can see it's going to be really good, but without, as you say, giving too much away. So it's kind of the what we're going to do, and not the how we're going to do it. And the how, because even if the case that you do explain the how you're going to do that, you're bored and rigid in a lot of cases, because it's just too much for them to read. You're reading about the steps, the what they need to do, and then you're going to say, so how we do this is blah 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 blah, and you've lost them, because often they're still in that realization of realizing that oh, actually, yeah, I do need that, and that's still in their thought process. So once you start telling how you're going to get there, it's too much information. So
I think as well, there's a great phrase.
Back off.
There's a great phrase that sums it up, where you say that you give them the what and you sell them the how.
Yeah.
And I think that there actually sums it up in regards to, you give them what they want, but you deliver what they need. So it's like they're thinking they're getting what exactly it is that they want. You know what they need, so you're actually delivering what they need. But together, it's that outcome. And that's that's the big thing there, isn't it? The outcome is, I think, when someone thinks it is what they want, it's still the outcome that they're looking at. And what you're saying that they need is still the same outcome. And all it is really is just breaking down those steps in that journey.
Yeah.
To actually just explain to them, look, we're actually saying the same thing.
Yeah.
You're just saying it in a different way. And it can get quite frustrating. I think that a lot of it with strategy and stuff like that, we're planning out, okay, that this is what we need to do, because this helps us get to this part and this helps us get to that part. But people want to jump those parts. They want to get to that next part. And it's like, the amount of times that you can say this on, right, okay, look, we're doing this, and it could be, for instance, with social media, and you just get people come back and say, oh, my ideal customer isn't on social media, or our industry, they don't do video and stuff like that. And it's like, right, okay, you sort of head in your hands, you're just like, I can try, but it's just like, someone's already got that in their head that, it's not like this. And it's like, I could show you classic examples of where this really works. And all it is helping you, again, just take those steps to get you onto that next thing, rather than kind of jumping. Because like we've said, with the likes of mindset, and sort of like, the mindset of a millionaire versus the mindset of a broke person, it's the same thing within business, of those different steps as well. It's like, you're building up these different steps because you are taking your customer through these steps as well.
Yeah.
It's exactly the same thing of, for that customer to make that buying decision to come with you, they have to see these kind of motions. They can jump, obviously, when they're ready and stuff like that. But for most people, they will go through that cycle.
And that, again, this is where the emotion comes in, because we are feeling beings. It's all about emotion. That's how we live. That's how you live as a supplier of services, and it's how your prospect lives as a buyer of your services. And if you're not taking them through that kind of understanding of emotion and raising their awareness of what they want, you're missing a trick. Because, as you said, if you're putting out dry content, which is fantastically factual, but with no emotion in it, people won't buy it, because they don't buy on logic. They buy on that emotion. You've got to appeal to that and tell and show them that this is going to, the outcome is going to give you a better life, or a better business, or something that's better, that's a change in the circumstances they have at the moment. And it's all about, again, it's that, another word that a lot of people use, maybe too much, but it's that thing, that transformation stage. We're going to transform you from being in this position to this position. And the way we are going to do this is what we're going to do is step 1 to 5, or whatever, as I say, the different steps. And then how we're going to create that. But if that if your customer or prospect cannot see the outcome that's really going to benefit them and really make them want it, that kind of really appeal to it, they're just going to skip and they're going to move on until someone who's maybe your competitor gives them the message they want to see, and they'll buy from your competitor.
This is exactly, isn't it? I think that what you said there as well, that transformational side of things, yeah, okay. I think that is what has kind of come to the marketing front.
Yeah,
I think you start to hear that a lot of places of, this is transformational. We're not. It's not informational. It's transformational. We're getting you from this point to that point, and it is right. It's just the same as with anything. And us in marketing are the worst people, as we use the buzzwords and like that, and it gets overplayed. But that kind of transformational stuff is a great way of explaining this with any of your marketing, is that you want to put your customer in the shoes of the hero. And it's like you want to put out those steps of how they come from the problem to the solution. And I can remember reading this a little while back, and it said everything comes back to the likes of a movie script. So what is they set the scene, they show you what the troubles are and everything like that. They show you the kind of steps then that someone's going through, and then there's the big kind of scene at the end. Especially with like superhero movies, I think are really good. If you think with superhero movies, for example, you're never a fan of the villain. You're always a fan of the hero. You always want the hero to win, because it sets that scene, where it puts it where the hero is. You take the Incredible Hulk, for example, and it's like, it's an average guy, and this has happened, and then he's facing these problems, and then he's facing the villain, and he defeats the villain, and everyone's happy. That's what you want, and it even works the other way. I mean, you look at like the kind of Joker films and stuff like that, is even with the villain, once you set that scene out and you put yourself in their shoes, you want them to succeed. You want them to do something, So the whole point there is that what you want to do is that transformational side, like you said, it is right. It just gets overplayed, but that's what you want to do. That from where they are to where they want to be, it is that want to that need.
It's interesting, and there's one thing I've won in some of the training I talk about, and one thing I do is I talk to them about Batman. So Batman is a hero, but Bruce Wayne isn't necessarily a hero, and Batman only becomes a hero with his amazing utility belt. So the process that you're building them is kind of like taking them from Bruce Wayne. You're creating the process is the utility belt, so at the end of that they can be Batman. And it's kind of like that, as you said, it's that passage. It's like taking them down a corridor, saying, okay, you're Bruce Wayne, but all the way down, you're going to pick up utility belt and eventually your costume, and out you come with your cape on and your huge body suit, and they're the hero.
I love that, mate. There's a story that I tell about Batman, and it's like it's further down the road of the people of Gotham looking to Batman to solve their problem, and it's like maybe we'll get into that in another podcast, but. That there that you said, man, I think that's awesome, because that kind of thing of that utility belt, it's a thing, it's a mechanism. It's that thing that turns it, right? So it's from Bruce Wayne to Batman. What's the difference? Well, the outfit. That's the thing. The tools and the outfit, is what changes him, and that's the thing. That is that whatever we're selling, whatever we're delivering, whether it's a product or service or whatever it is. There needs to be that something. And like I said, when someone has they have the avatar right, they have the offering right, and something's not quite clicking, that's when we go back to, like I said, looking at, well, why you? Right. But before we get to that point, if that offering isn't right, then they're missing that mechanism. And I don't know about you, mate. Over the years and stuff, the amount of people that I've spoke with, and even just seeing, like, there's people that you meet through the likes of networking and stuff like that you connect with, and they're launching something. They're launching some sort of new program or product or service, and it flops. They don't come out and say it flopped or anything like that, but it flopped, because usually a week later they're like, oh, now I've got this product or this program is running, and stuff like that. And you're like, well, before you were too busy, with that last one. So it's flopped and stuff like that. But the reason I'm saying about that is usually that when someone hasn't quite worked in the way you want, you can see that something's missing,
Yeah.
and it usually is just that mechanism.
Yeah. Often it's that the whole process. Yeah. And going back to the whole, the premise when we started off with the wants and the needs, is that someone says, I'd love that. I'd love that toy that Batman's got, for example, and that's the kind of thing. Oh, I really want that. And so actually, what they need is all of it, all of that utility belt. So they aren't just a guy with just a bat pistol or something. They've actually got the whole thing. That's the Batmobile, the boats, and all the rest of it. Everything that makes up Batman and the stuff you love to see on the film. So it's they don't know initially that they need all that. They just want this toy, and then you're saying, right, okay, well, your need is far deeper than this. And once you question it, so what do you really want? Well, I really want to be Batman. So you need all the things that go with it, and that's kind of it helps put it into perspective of it.
I feel like, right, I reckon we could talk for hours about Batman, and
Yeah.
but not just about Batman, but the way it kind of links into business, right? Because I think that there's so many things there that you're talking about where I'm like, do you know what? You're right, where people are just like, I need this tool, but actually you need a collection of tools for it to work, right?
Yeah.
And you also need, like, you need Alfred and you need Mr. Fox and stuff like that to, who supply the other kind of size that you need as well. But also, you have to have that mindset, and you have to have that purpose and that desire, And I think that the whole kind of, the whole kind of Batman thing is, his mum and dad got killed but by a criminal, and he wanted to make sure that he wiped out criminals in the city and stuff like that. And that's his big why, his purpose, that why he's doing it and stuff like that. And it is crazy, isn't it? Because you could give someone the tools, and they may not do it. And like I said, that whole kind of thing with strategy is you can map it out sometimes and people not do it. You could lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. And it's like,
and that is so true. It's that desire, isn't it? They really have to have that passion that they want to be there. So this comes back to the whys again, doesn't it? So you're talking to your prospect, and they say, well, I want to be Batman. So why is that important to you? What are you going to? So if you want to be Batman, why? And Batman, of course, as we know, he wants to fight crime, but he wants to fight crime everywhere he possibly can. Whereas if you've got someone who says, well, I want to look good in a Batman outfit, that doesn't really cut it, That's not going to quite, there, right? It's not going to make it. So you have to have a real passion. His passion, Batman's passion, like you said, is to fight all crime everywhere. And that's why he wants to be Batman.
There's one of the films actually where I think Batman's been away for a little while, where something's going on, and lots of kind of imitation Batman have kind of just come about, and it's like they're not in the best shape. They don't have the tools and stuff like that, and they're actually putting themselves in danger. And then Batman comes back and rescues them.
And rescues them all
because of doing that. But what I'm thinking there is like it is that whole kind of thing, isn't it? Of, I guess, just the dangers within any kind of market of where people come about, and just because they've got the Batman suit on, it doesn't mean they're Batman.
No, exactly right. Yeah.
I think sometimes it can be tough that way, and that's where I guess some of the kind of, I'm talking about where people are selling the wants without actually delivering the need. Yeah, I think you get a lot of these kind of quick get rich quick schemes and stuff like that. Do that where people they're going to make lots of money by but buying a system or buying a program or something like that. But actually, it requires a lot of work.
Yeah,
to do it, And do you know what? I think sometimes as well, some of the whole kind of, these gurus and stuff like that come about, and I think sometimes they do get a bad rep where people talk about, they're just selling this, they're just trying to make a quick buck and trying to do this and stuff like that. But actually, some of the stuff is quite good.
Yeah.
But if you actually follow through, and I think sometimes as well, you always need to adapt it to work for you.
Yeah. There's a lot of that.
It does work, but I think sometimes people just don't have that. The stickability a word, like they don't. It comes back to that passion, that why, and stuff like that. Why they're doing it. And
that's the thing with that's the thing with learning. And if you're learning anything, if you're being given new tools. If you've been given a strategy, if you've been given more training to do something, it's absolutely of no use to you until you actually put it into action, until you implement stuff. That's where the real learning takes place. And if, like you said earlier on about the marketing strategy, you can give everybody the tools, you can give them the theory and the training, and if they just take it all and put it on a shelf, like a lot of people do with course books, and don't do anything with it, guess what? In a year's time, they're going to be looking again for exactly the same thing, even though they've got it on the shelf. They're going to try and find it from someone
totally. Else. And I think there's so many different ways that we can look at that as well. Is I think sometimes that people have the right ingredients, right? And it's just putting them together to make it work. You know, is that, I guess it comes back again, talking about recipes and stuff like that. You know, it's like, you know what, you can go and buy, or you can get a recipe for a cake or whatever it is, right? You can go and buy all the ingredients and you've got it there in front of you. But if you don't know the steps, if you don't know the instructions, you know, to put it together, it isn't going to work.
That's right. And you know, and the other thing with that sort of cake analogy, the first one probably might turn out a bit crap, but it doesn't matter. You just try again till you perfect it. I mean, very, very few people can put something into place first time round and it is absolutely perfect. There's always learning to take place. And you know, it's the whole cycle. You know, the plan, do, check, and action is that, you know, you plan it, you do it, things come out, and you think, oh, I didn't expect that to happen. So you modify it, and then you put it back into action again, and that's the learning cycle. That's the way we way we learn and how we become really proficient at something.
I think what you have there as well is you get the people who they try something and it doesn't quite work.
Yeah.
But then they just put that in a category as it didn't work and stop, rather than trying to evolve that and make it work and everything like that. But what's even worse is when someone doesn't start because they're trying to get that perfect cake.
To get it perfect,
you know? So it's like, you know, they keep mixing up the batter or whatever the kind of best cake sort of analogy is, right? But they start whisking up the batter or whatever, and it's like, you know, they think the batter isn't right,
and they'll carry on
to the point of actually baking. You know?
They will get to it, and they'll drop it because they think, oh, it's too hard work.
It's too hard. You know, I've never got to that finished cake. You know, I've never got to that end result. I've never created the cake, so you know, I've just always been busy doing mixing the batter and stuff like that.
Exactly, busy fools, and that's
busy fools. That's the hamster wheel and stuff like that.
Yeah, all those kind of analogies,
and it all comes back to that kind of want and need. You know, is that people are thinking they want the you know, to get the best cake, they want a perfect batter, but what they actually need is to perfect the whole process. You know, to make it happen. But I think you're totally right there, man. I think that whole kind of personal development stuff, like you said, there's a great term where people refer to it as shelf development, because they just stick it on the shelf. You know,
isn't that so true? And I used to be the same. You get me wrong. I have got so many books that. In fact, I read a book about 3 months ago, which had been on my shelf for 10 years, about 10 years. And when I read it, I thought, why the hell did I not read this 10 years ago?
Mate? There's a book actually that I read, I want to say 2 years ago, and it's called The Laptop Millionaire.
Okay, yeah.
And I guess it is one of those things that on the surface of it, you think it is just one of these kind of scams or something like that, you know, Laptop Millionaire. Yeah, okay. And I think it came out in around about 2010. And I read it 2 years ago, and I was like, man, if I had this in 2010, I'd be a millionaire. Because all the stuff that it's kind of talking about was right then, and it's even more right now.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's a lot of stuff as well. Like some of these books, I can remember saying to you in an earlier podcast as well, reading a collection of books that were from like the late 80s and early 90s. And it was talking about some of the predictions of marketing. And I wanted to see how some of them were right and stuff like that. And it is actually quite scary how some of them got it spot on. You know, the whole kind of through the late 90s and early 2000s and stuff like that. And it was just like, and one of it in the late 80s was just talking about a connected world where, like, you know, you have a computer and stuff like that. And it's like with the internet that we have and
the internet things,
it's insane, right? Like everything is there at the touch of a button. And I think we're saying in last week's podcast as well, is that there is so much information out there. And I think then we were talking about people need transformation, but what they actually need is that middle part of directional, because they need to be pointing in the right way. That same thing as just that cake kind of metaphor as well. I mean, okay, look, you can watch a video now where you can just do things step by step, to then obviously make sure that you have that right thing. And if for any reason, something isn't quite right, where you just rewind and go back a step, and just watch it again to do it right. But it's quite interesting saying there with like the personal development stuff. I mean, it's quite weird. I would probably say that to date, I've read more books, been on more training and all this kind of stuff around marketing and business and strategy and all this kind of stuff than what most people would do in their lifetime. Right. Then, even people in the marketing space. Right.
Yeah.
But I still learn, and I get more from learning now than what I did when I first started out.
And the difference is, and this is the same with any kind of books on self-development or anything really, you always do, because you will have, and I know you're passionate on marketing. So the whole point is that you've put into practice things that you learned a while back. And then if you read those books again, having done that, and you're coming from a different place now because that little bit worked or this little bit needed a bit of tweaking. And when you read again, you think, right, that's what they meant. And something else gels. And then you do that again. And then when you read it again, you're coming from a different place. You're a different person because you've moved on, you've done things and you've grown your awareness. And then you'll read something else that you missed the first time around. And you think, oh yeah, right, now I got it.
100%.
You get aha moments all the time on stuff. And so it's essential, I think, to once you have a book, is never read that book once. It goes on your shelf after you've read it, great. But make sure you come back to it.
So I've got to that point actually as well with books and stuff like that, is I will take a highlighter to it straight away.
Yeah.
So what I used to do is I used to read the book and I think, I'll come back to that to look at different bits, and it would just get to the point where, a couple of years have gone past and I haven't read that book. But what I do now is when I'm reading through it, I will highlight certain parts and then I will go back to it a couple of months later and I'll flick through and I'll look at those highlighted bits. And the amount of times that even with old training, for some reason though, I've done this quite a lot recently, that I've gone back to some old training, because I do think with the whole kind of technology advances and stuff like that, and just the amount of noise that gets out there, is we all get kind of driven into a certain way that we forget practices that work really well, really well, and different processes and stuff like that. And I always pick up something new from it. And it's like I could watch a training video and it's like, mate, 99% of it is, this sounds bad to say, but 99% of it is beneath me. It's just like it's just been like generic stuff that is the same thing as you can just watch when you log into a platform. They will show you a video on how things work. You don't need that. But just that 1%, someone says something or someone asks a certain question that you're just like, wow, do you know what? That's so right today.
Yeah.
It's just like, it is crazy how just little things can make you happen. I can remember, I think I was watching a video and you had Grant Cardone from America. I love watching some of his stuff. He's big and brashy, and I just sometimes I think it's great for just that kind of motivation side to get things done. But I know he said he's never read a bad book. And he said what I mean by that is I've always taken something from it. He said that book could suck, really. He said it could be rubbish. He said, but I've learned something from it. There'd be something in there that changed my way of thinking or made me think about something and get on and do something else. And it's just like, and even to the point where he's saying about there's a book called The Millionaire Next Door. And what it talks about there is about saving and all this kind of stuff. And he just said that what he took from that was he didn't want that lifestyle. He didn't want to be saving and stuff like that. He wanted to just go out and make all the money as soon as possible, and that spurred him on to go and do it. And it's like, okay, look, the book wasn't meant in that way, but how you take stuff from it still works. And I think what the whole point of, I guess, some of this development, some of this learning, and we speak about it as being like a growth environment or that kind of ecosystem where you're looking to grow, is that what you're doing, you're just stimulating your way of, how can I make things happen? How can I do better? How can I do that better? And I think it comes back again to that kind of want and need is, so again, it sounds bad to say it, but I think some people are lazy with their marketing.
Right, undoubtedly.
Yeah, they just think, I do this, and I'm great at what I do, so people should be happy to pay me money to help them.
Yeah, and I think it's that motivation and that vision, isn't it? Again, yeah, I know we spoke about this on earlier podcasts, but the vision is so essential. Grant Cardone, there was a classic one. His vision was, I want to make money fairly quickly. So he read that Millionaire Next Door. I don't want that because it didn't fit with his vision. Whereas someone else, because I've read, I've read the book and I heard, read other people, spoken to other people who've read it, and someone else who, I think there's one in there, a guy who was a janitor. I believe he was a janitor, and he saved and he became a millionaire not because he was earning fantastic money, but he just saved and he went on to he used the right interest vehicles, compound interest, all that kind of stuff, and he saved over 40 odd years. It's a long time to actually with the compound interest, and he came out as a millionaire. But again, it didn't fit with Grant Cardone's vision, but there may be plenty of other janitors who might say, I can do that. It fits in their vision. So it's all about the vision, and that comes from mindset. That's why it's so important that when you start business, remembering that the business is the vehicle to get to the lifestyle you want. What is that lifestyle? And until you have that button down and you have that really bright in your head, then it's difficult to. You're going to pick things up and drop them, and you're not going to do them properly because you don't understand. You forget why you're doing it, and that's the biggest enemy for any business owner, I reckon.
I was going to say that's a great example there with that whole kind of want and need thing. Is that janitor, is that what he wanted was that financial freedom, that to make $1 million or whatever it was. What he needed was time.
Yeah,
and to save his money, and it comes back to that kind of thing of, well, do you know what? Yeah, simply, just spend less than what you make. You'll be fine. The same as like with dieting or something like that. It's like, well, burn more calories than what you eat. It's like it's that kind of thing. But actually, the better example is like you said, is that the lifestyle is what you want.
Yeah,
but the vehicle is what you need.
Yes, yeah.
That's it there. The lifestyle is what you want. Do you want to be financially free? Do you want, to have all these options? Do you want to be able to travel the world, whatever it is? Well, look, you need something to help you do it.
Yeah.
And that is your business vehicle. And that's the whole point there of, whatever you're offering someone, whatever you're selling them, and it can even be something small. I mean, I think sometimes when we talk about this whole kind of want and need and stuff like that, is you might get into high ticket and you might get into programs and stuff like that, but really it can just be the easiest thing. Someone buying an umbrella, they want the umbrella, because it's going to stop them from getting wet. Is that what do they need? They need to stop getting wet.
Yeah.
But they want the umbrella.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it's just those things. And as you say, sometimes it is the small things. You sell enough umbrellas, you can become a millionaire.
That's the thing.
It's those small products. You don't have to have the next big thing. It's again, we talked about innovation. Was it last week we were talking about innovation? And again, it's just the bringing together two little things that form a new product that people haven't seen before. I think we'll use the coat, the dog glove, or the grooming coat, the grooming glove. That guy must have sold millions, or maybe a woman, as I say, but it must have sold millions and millions of that product. That product doesn't have to be a huge price for him to be a millionaire.
You just got to think, like, we've got the pound shops here in the UK. I know they have like the equivalents and stuff like that in the States, but do you know what, they turn over quite a lot of money, but each item is a pound, right? It's just like
it's volume, isn't it?
It's volume. That's the thing. It's volume, but it serves that purpose. It's that, again, it gives the people what they want, which is a bargain, right?
Yeah.
But they actually give them what they need in regards to an actual product.
Yeah. They would, exactly, and that's a really good analogy, because they want a bargain. They want to buy something on the cheap, even though if you go, it's quite comical actually.
Mate, don't even get me started.
You go into those shops and things are deliberately sold in smaller cans for whatever, but people love it because it's less than in the UK, it's a pound. Brilliant. So they'll fill up their shopping bag. I've been behind people who spent 30 quid in a pound shop.
It is that thing though, isn't it? Is that you have to spend a fiver. At
Yeah,
least you
yeah.
you can't spend £2 or £3. You have to
No.
do that.
And,
There's actually there's a great there's lots of memes and stuff like that that you have go around, and it talks about B&M. So you've got the B&M shops. I think if you're looking at like the States or something like that, I think you have like Target.
yeah,
It's like a similar thing,
yeah.
right? And like the whole point is that you popped in for like say a pack of batteries, and you come out with like bags full of everything. You've got an
Yeah,
ostrich pillow, and
yeah.
you've got like a
That's
mirror,
right.
and you've got all this kind of stuff, and it's just like I just popped in to get a thing of
Yeah,
batteries, or it's like when you get to the checkout and that, and it comes through with the actual amount, and you're looking at your wallet, and you're just like, what's going on here? And that is the whole thing. Again, is just like you're getting people within that kind of place. What is it they want, or what is it they need? It's like we don't want all the stuff that we buy from B&M or the pound shop or something like that.
don't need it.
We don't need it. That's the thing. And it is that whole kind of thing. Is sometimes there is that reluctant feeling. Is that the right word? Reluctant, but you kind of you buy something and then you get home and you're like, why did I do that?
Yeah, buyer's remorse, isn't it?
Buyer's remorse is the
Yeah,
that's it. And it's like it's tough, isn't it? Sometimes, because that comes back to that whole thing, like I was saying, of people that just sell the wants, without the actual needs. And I think summing that up in the best way to kind of put it is that the wants can serve a short-term fix.
Yeah,
but there has to be something sustainable afterwards to fulfill that need.
To fulfill the need. I think that's a good summing up, to be honest. That's absolutely spot on, because the need, it's the sustainable process that satisfies the need. The want is often a short-term thing. And like you said, the want is the short term, but then you back it up with the sustainable system that's gonna keep providing the need all the time.
That's it. I think
a sustainable process.
Yeah, and I think that's what we're really getting at with this episode here, is that, look, sell the wants. Go through that same kind of matching up with the customer on their way of thinking. Sell the wants, but deliver the need.
Yeah,
give them that thing that they actually need. And it's like, I think sometimes it can be tough, to kind of get that message, or get your mindset around that, to just be like, right, okay, I need to match that customer on their way of thinking.
Yeah.
To get them in the door, kind of thing. But I actually need to deliver this.
Yeah.
Because that is what they need, and that's what's going to keep them happy and actually get them the result that they think they want.
Yeah.
But
more than what they in most cases, if you're delivering the sustainable process for the need, is you're not only giving them what they want, but all of a sudden they have this backup that's working for them, and think, wow, they didn't realize that they needed that. But once you start to deliver it and they can see it working for them, then it becomes a want, because I want more of it. I want more of this thing, because you've supplied something they didn't know they wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And it's there's a phrase, isn't there? You don't know what you don't know. I didn't know I needed that, but now I see it, I realize I do, because initially they don't know what they don't know.
That is exactly it, isn't it? I think that's the best way to kind of sum it up. People don't know what they don't know. I think that's perfect. And it's quite interesting. I mean, you're saying then about obviously giving people more than what they actually need and stuff like that. And it from kind of some of the services that I've done over the years and stuff, we've always kind of looked at that 3-month block, because that 3 month is usually, again, transformational, right? Mm-hmm. That it can help them get from point A to point B, and it's enough time to kind of make it happen. But what happens then is people start to fall backwards.
Yeah,
they start to move away. They don't keep up that intensity, or they don't keep up with actually just doing what needs to be done to maintain it and sustain it. And then they start slipping backwards. Whereas now, I know from what we're doing with stretching conversions, we've got a progression club, which is obviously insane amounts of value and stuff like that in there, to about over delivering. But we're looking at momentum assist.
Yeah.
And when we were talking about this, momentum assist was something that I used to offer for 3 months at a time, and that's what we were going to look to do. And then when we looked at it, it's like, look, we need to make this a bigger term play here. We need to look at a year. because what we want to do is look at, right, okay, look, where do you want to be within a year's time?
Yeah.
And then we'll bring it back to 3 months, and then we get on the next 3 months and the next 3 months and the next 3 months to actually make sure that not only do we get from where we want to be right now to where we want to be in 3 months' time, we're always adding that momentum then to get to where we want to be in a year's time.
Yeah.
You know, and what happens then throughout that time is we make sure that, okay, look, the first 3 months become sustainable. The next 3 months have become sustainable, and we're always building on top, you know, whether that is just the sustainability rather than growth. But what we're doing there is we're making sure that we're keeping that in play.
Yeah.
Like you said, that whole kind of thing of, it's what we could easily just done it for 3 months.
Yeah.
And help someone get from point A to point B, and that's it. But actually now, okay, what we want to do is get from point A to point B, and then we want to restart that point A to point B. You know, and start doing that again.
And define a new, define again. And it's all about, going back to conversations we had just earlier. It's all about momentum. What they want is normally just the starting point, if you like, which you give them, and then it's the sustainable momentum that takes them that then. And as you said, we've increased that whole thing to a year, because that's when you can look back in the beginning of the year to where they are now at the end of the year, and you're hoping that they'll go, wow, we've really done that. So say, okay, what about the next year? So now you're building on that all the time, and that it's just momentum. That momentum just grows.
We talk about the momentum spiral, don't we?
Because
you're levering up. You're always moving.
You're always looking up. Yeah. So it just carries on. You're doing more of the same, and you're adding other bits into it as well.
Adding into it, yeah. That's it, leveling up all the time.
It just takes it further and further up as they go, and then the whole point is, as we've said in Progression Club, the same thing in Momentum, is that they will go at the pace they want and to the level they want. And then it becomes sustainable. So then if they reach that level, they say, okay, I'm happy with this for the moment. I don't want to grow anymore. I don't want to go. Instead of us saying, but you've got to carry on going. This is what you need. You say, no. You've reached that point now. Just keep it sustainable. So you are not, say, for example, you get to a certain income level that's coming from the business. Then they say, okay, we need to sustain your business at this level so it provides you this lifestyle. Then it could be in another year's time, they might say, do you know what? I want more. Just turn it back on again. It's as simple as that. Once you have that thing working, then there's no reason why it can't just be turned on and just take that and just continue the spiral upwards.
Exactly that, mate. It's awesome stuff, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't even know what else to add into that right now. I think that's just like, again, it just hits so many different levels where it's like, yeah, okay, look, deliver the wants, but also deliver the needs. Give them what they want, but also give them what they need. Yeah, and just help them keep moving forward to move on up. It's always about that next level. And I think, you know what, mate, that's exactly it. I don't think there's anything else there to add, and I haven't even come up with what we're going to talk about in the next episode yet. So I might just leave that to you. You can tell us next time, and we'll pick it up from there.
Okay. Yeah, I'll have a think about what to talk about.
I mean, I think that's enough for me, mate. Is there anything you want to add?
No, I just think I just love the whole thing about delivering more and making sure that the value that we give that will create a momentum which is sustainable and can take them to the level they want at their own pace.
Yeah, exactly. I think we'll put some links as well. Wherever you're watching or listening to this, we'll put some links to Progression Club and to Momentum Assist, and it's there. Check it out, and obviously we can go from there. Yeah, absolutely. Cool. Mate, it's always been a pleasure. Indeed, and for me. Catch you next time. Yeah, okay. Cheers, Jamie. Thanks. Bye then.